So good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Lisa Millman. I'm a specialist here at the Family Resource Center. Well, I want to welcome you to our webinar, Understanding Adolescent Development, the Physical, Emotional, and Cognitive Changes in Teens. Dr. Onati Jain is a certified youth behavior change specialist, TEDx speaker, and founder of Gen Z and You, based in Fairfax, Virginia. Specializing in life coaching for young adults and adults, she empowers individuals to develop a growth mindset, overcome personal challenges, and unlock their full potential in both professional and personal domains. Her unique coaching approach integrates 52 concepts designed to address key issues such as anxiety, low self-esteem, procrastination, and time management. Dr. Jain focuses on nurturing critical life skills like communication and relationship building, essential for thriving in any environment. In her TEDx talk, How to Move from Control to Connection, and her best-selling book, A Parent-Teen Journey, she emphasizes self-exploration and overcoming limiting beliefs. Through personalized coaching, workshops, and motivational speeches, she helps her clients shift from control to connection, fostering growth and resilience. With thousands of success stories, Dr. Jain continues to inspire teens and adults to enhance their confidence, build meaningful relationships, and achieve personal and professional success. Her mission is to provide individuals with the tools they need to thrive and lead fulfilling lives. Dr. Jain, welcome.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Very, very grateful to be here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate your time, and I do hope that in the next 60 minutes or 45 minutes, I'm able to make it worthwhile enough so that you go back home empowered to build that connection that we're also looking for as a parent with our children. Today, what we're going to explore is, like Lisa said, we're going to explore the physical, emotional, and cognitive changes in teens. Very, very imperative to understand where it's coming from, what's happening with the teen body, so that we can be more empathetic and use the strategies that are going to work with them, because I totally understand how frustrating it can be for a parent to deal with teen years. But if we understand that it's equally or more challenging for our teenagers to deal with the physical, emotional, and cognitive changes that they're going through, life becomes a lot easier, and we're able to blend the two to create solid relationships. So thank you once again for being here. As Lisa pointed out, I'm not going to spend more time on myself. I do this with a passion. I am in Fairfax, Virginia. I have a doctorate in leadership and change with a focus on behaviors. I'm also a yoga and a meditation instructor, so I use a lot of my meditation strategies while coaching younger adults and coaching parents. I'm a mother of a 21-year-old, and the reason I started doing this was really to understand my own child 15 years ago, and that led to one thing from the other. And today I'm here trying to create change within parents and beyond. So we will be talking about adolescent development, something every parent watches their child go through, and it's not easy. We have multiple questions surrounding it. I got a bunch of questions which Lisa sent me earlier, which people had put forward, and they were extremely challenging questions. And I'm going to try and speak the language that every parent resonates with. I'm not going to be throwing around jargon so you can relate to it. We will have a Q&A in the end, and I strongly suggest that take out a piece of pen and paper, and as we talk through this, the understanding development in a teen, note down what is it that's resonating with you, what is it that's coming up with you that resonates with you and your child, and in the end we can take up those questions. So let's start with physical development in adolescence. There are a bunch of hormonal changes going on. Now, puberty is triggered by hormonal changes. We all know that, and it increases. It involves an increased level of estrogen and testosterone. So estrogen in girls and testosterone in boys, which is what increases their reactions the way you see them. Their body changes, their shape changes, their size changes on a daily basis. Now, in girls, breasts develop. In boys, Adam's apple develops. Their voice starts deepening, and they have no idea what's happening with them. Can you imagine, as an adult, if you were to see these changes on a daily basis, you would be petrified. And that's what puberty does to them. And that's why they are so out of their body that they don't know how to control this. Now, let's talk about individual differences in development across teens. No one develops at a same pace. When we turn around and say, the neighbor's child doesn't react like that, why do you react like that? We are basically telling them, you're not an individual, you're a teenager. I'm going to put you in a box. You're developing at the same pace that the other child is developing. That is not true. Every child develops at their own pace. And they can be influenced by your genetics. It can be influenced by their overall health. What are they eating? What are they sleeping? How much are they sleeping? What are they doing in their lives? And how impacted are they with the environment around them? What stress do they have in their lives? These are all the things that can impact puberty. So the one key takeaway from this slide as we talk through is, do not compare your child to the neighbor's child or to any other child for that matter, because there is only one of you and there is only one of your child. Let's talk about sleep during puberty. Sleep is extremely important. It's underrated, not overrated. And you will see in the next slide, according to CDC, how many hours of sleep does a teenager need? But a teenager on an average needs between 8 to 11 hours of sleep, and we settle at about 9. Very difficult, extremely difficult to get a teenager to sleep for 9 hours with all of the phone usage, social media usage, games happening, all of those things, very difficult to get it. So what do we need for teens? We need boundaries. Very effective, strong boundaries that can help them get that 8 to 9 hours of sleep. Is it going to happen over time? Absolutely not. It's going to take a very long time to happen. But the boundaries have to be consistent, and you have to enforce them on a regular basis, because poor sleep quality contributes to their mental health. It impacts how they show up in the world. It impacts their self-esteem. It impacts their self-confidence. It impacts their mental health. It impacts how they interact with you and the world around them. And these are all the things that puberty does. And these are the things that happen during puberty. And puberty can hit a child from at different ages, and we will talk about that as we talk more. Now, a lot of parents come to me and ask me, why is it that my child has low self-esteem? Here's what I'm going to say to that. Physical changes during puberty affect a child's body image. And when it affects a child's body image, they drop considerably in their self-esteem, because they begin to compare themselves to their peers, to everybody around them. That girl, that boy, look at the way they dress. They look so thin. They look so petite. Look, here I am. I'm so fat. I'm so ugly. All of these things happen. So encourage positive body image and remind them that everybody develops at their own pace. They are unique. Will you saying that's once going to change anything? No, it's not. You have to remind them every single day how good they are. You believe in them. They're perfect just the way they are. They look extremely good, even if you think otherwise. It doesn't matter, because you are their mirror. They see you, they see themselves through your eyes. Always remember that. So what you say to them as a parent, how much you constantly wake up in the morning and tell them that you believe in them, or reiterate how much you love them, or reiterate how good they feel and look, the stronger and the more confident your child is. Because when they go out into the world and they see their peers and they see everybody around them who, according to their eyes and according to their thought process, looks better than them, they will constantly go back to the dialogue you sent them out with, which says, I believe in you. You're perfect just the way you are. You look very good. So that's one way of making sure that your child gets up every morning, goes out, fights the world, comes back, because they know you are their safe space. I always like to add some research onto my slides so that we know that it's just not us talking. This is absolutely backed by research. Middle schoolers don't get enough sleep. High schoolers don't get enough sleep. So once again, according to CDC, teens between 13 to 18 years of age need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And kids between 6 to 12 years of age need 9 to 12 hours of sleep. We just need to keep these things in mind. And every household has different strategies. You're a parent, there's nobody who knows better than you, because you know your child the best. You know the strategy that you need to take to ensure that your child gets the amount of sleep that's recommended and needed for them to function better in the outside world. These are just a few stats that I've put together, and I'm not going to go through them because of lack of time, but you will be getting the slides later. So this will tell you where does puberty hit? What are the differences between girls and boys? These are all research-based stats. So I'm not going to spend much time on this, but you will get the slides later. Now let's talk about social development. They begin, as they hit teenagers, they begin to create a sense of self. What does that mean? They begin to become an individual outside of you. They create some social roles for themselves. They identify where do they fit, which group do they want to go with. They figure out their gender. You will see a lot of 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds questioning their gender identity. This is all because they're trying to figure out, where do they fit? Who am I? Because adolescence is a time of significant changes that happen. So they're questioning themselves. Think of it like this: as you become an adult, and let me compare this to, though it's not the right comparison, but I'm going to try my best to do it. Let's compare this to an age, let's say about 38 to 40, when a woman or a man goes through certain, I don't like to use the midlife crisis, but lack of a better word, I will use it, midlife crisis. And you begin to identify, who are you? What do I like? Are my tastes changing? Who am I becoming? Who do I want to be around? I've done these people. These are not the people that I want. I'm ready to grow to the next set of people. You're evolving, and that's how teenage is. They're beginning to look at themselves outside of just being a child. They're beginning to become individualistic. So there are certain things that they're throwing out. There are certain things that they're keeping in. They're questioning their gender, as I said, gender identity, social identity. If there are a lot of immigrant parents in the room, they begin to question that too, because they're immigrants. When they come home, they they come across a different culture, whereas where they go out, they come across a completely different culture. And that's why in immigrant households, you'll see more of children questioning their parents at the time of teenage years, because they haven't seen the culture that you and I come from. I'm an immigrant myself. They haven't seen those, so they begin to question that. They begin to question their culture as they see the culture that's coming outside of them. mental health. Today's generation is more present, more aware, more cognizant of their mental health and well-being that you and I put together. Why? Because they've seen so many things. They've seen the pandemic. They've seen, multiple movements. They've seen so many things. They've seen things that you and I wars. They've seen things that you and I have not seen. So they're very conscious of who they are, who they become. Now, this is a dilemma here, because you can also challenge me here and say, yes, they are concerned about their mental health and well-being, but it's also the most anxious generation. It's also the generation that's constantly on their phones. It's also the generation who does not have social skills. Absolutely agreed with you. I am with you on that. Now, here's what I'm going to say to that. These guys have seen all of these things, and they've also seen the internet boom. That's what they've grown up with. So while they're aware and they want to do something about their mental health and well-being, they don't know how to do it. And that is where a parent's role comes in, is making them aware. Now, we can turn around and say that it's very easy to say making them aware, but they don't listen. And that's where boundaries come in. And we will continue to talk about that. Lisa, just checking on time. Are we doing okay on time so far?
Yes, we are.
Thank you, Lisa. Let's move on to emotional development. Again, this is something that I picked up from CDC, which is, again, very important, just to show you the kind of emotions that they feel during teenage years, and they've been divided into a wheel because there are just so many emotions that they feel, and they're unable to emotionally regulate themselves because they feel so many emotions. They don't know what to do with them. So as parents, the reason that I'm bringing all of this to your attention is it's important to understand the why of what a teen does. And once we understand the why, the how of managing the teen becomes much easier. And why do these emotions happen? Because of the release of hormones. That's why the emotional volatility. They're not doing this to get back at you. They're not doing this to upset you. They're not doing this because they hate you. They may say they hate you, but they're doing this because you are their safest space. And you're the only person in the world who they can show their emotion to without being judged, and know that even if they show their emotion to you, you will come back to them sooner or later. You may be upset in the now, but you will come back. And that is the reason it is very important that we, as parents, first learn how to regulate our own emotions and then carry that forward to our teenagers. So what does all of this mean? Very, very important. And I am going to take out my notes because there's just so much to understand here. And as parents, that I really don't want to miss anything. So we need to understand that adolescent development is complex. It's individual. Every child is different. It is very, very stressful. It can take you down. I totally understand it. I've been through it. I'm a single mother. I raised my child all on myself. And that's the reason I do what I do today. So every parent in this room, you come before your child. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you cannot show up for your child by any means. The reason that I have taken the time to break this down for you on how complex it is, how multifactorial it is, how stressful it is, how puberty impacts a different child at different times, is because if we are mindful of our children's developmental changes and we focus inwards on ourselves and keeping ourselves healthy and practice all of the things that we've just talked about with ourselves, we will be able to inculcate all of that in our child. And the support and the reassurance that your child needs is twofold. So I'm going to ask you, throw this question out to you here, and I'd like you to question yourself when you have a few moments. Who is providing you support and the reassurance that you need so that you can show up for your child and create that connection that you and your child are both looking for? Here is what I do for myself so that I can show up for all of the youths that I work with, all of the parents that I work with, my own child. I use the yoga mat, so I practice yoga every day. I meditate every day. I have a therapist. I have a coach. And this is the place which helps me understand myself, my own emotions, and calm my own self down so I show up for my child. Now, we've talked about what it is now, and we've talked about the why. Now we're going to talk about how are we going to change it. Exercise, I cannot emphasize enough importance of exercise, and that could be any form of exercise. And I love to tell stories during my presentation because I think they resonate more than real content. Content is something that you can read, and I'm not here to read from the slides. But I had a rule in my house when my son was growing up, was between 5 to 7, the child was supposed to go out and play or do some form of outside activity, because this is what helps you manage your mind. So healthy eating, look at your pantry. What is your child eating? Are they eating healthy foods? Are they not eating healthy foods? Are they exercising? Are they spending time with friends and family? Are they getting enough sleep? These are all the things which will help you reduce that teen angst, regulate their emotions, identify how is it that you can support them through those difficult times, through the puberty years. Now, research shows that exercise during adolescent development, it can not only lower obesity, it can foster great social connections. It can give you better sleep. If you're going to eat spicy food or junk at 10 o'clock at night, clearly you're not going to be able to sleep. So ask yourself these questions. Identify your pantry. Ask your child or talk to your spouse or talk to your partner. Figure out what is it that your child can do to move their body, whatever they like. And let's make sure that it's what they like, because if it's what you like, then it's soon going to drop. So it's a conversation. It's the ability to know your child. It's the ability to have those conversations with your partner and make your child a part of that conversation so you can give them what you need. I hope everybody is with me till now. Now, this is again something that I bring up from the National Institute on Aging. Do you take an exercise break yourself? Because the way I like to think is what we need to do for our children, before that, we need to do for ourselves. How do you build endurance? Are you flexible? Do you stretch enough? How do you create balance in your life? How do you do strength exercises? And a lot of parents challenge me when I'm on presentations like this, that we're here to talk about our children. I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm going to challenge that back. And I challenge it each time, is your child is a reflection of you. What you do is what your child is going to do. So your first focus has to be you. It's very easy to say that my teen does these things, and I'm not by any means invalidating those emotions. I'm absolutely validating those emotions. But if we were to not worry about the fact that your child is answering you back or is not listening to you, but worry about that your child is watching you, we can completely change the teenager's experience. Social development, your child is growing. Social media has a very, very deep impact on your child. Instagram recently took out, which I'm very grateful for, some new policies on teen teen usage. If you were to follow me on Instagram, and I will show you, I will share my handles with you in the end. I have actually highlighted what Instagram has done for teenagers. So that's to monitor and limit social media. Monitor peer groups. Very, very important to monitor your child's growth and who they hang out with. But this is not about being on the sly. This is not about hiding and doing it. This is not about putting trackers. This is about having open conversations. What is it that they like about that peer group? Why is it that they're with them? This is about knowing your child inside out as they go through puberty, because what they do today is not what they will do tomorrow. It's changing constantly. So monitor those peer groups. Strict parents create sneaky kids, believe it or not. You know where I take this from? Yesterday, I was coaching a 13-year-old, and she told me, she says, you know what? One day I'm going to go to a party and I'm not going to tell my parents. I'm like, why are you going to do this? You have to tell your parents. You're not going to lie to them. She says, strict parents create sneaky kids. And that's where I use this from. So ask yourself this question. As your child is growing, do you have an open, trusting, compassionate parenting technique? Or are you strict parents? Do you have boundaries which have been discussed with your child? Or do you say because you said so? Is your child scared of you? Or is your child respectful of you? Fear creates sneaky kids. Respectful creates children who will have a little bit of angst in them, but they will come and speak to you because they know you have a gentle approach. Encourage social connections. If your child is sitting closed in a room, you need to get them out of there. They could be sports, they could be painting, they could be sleepovers, they could be community groups, they could be anything. Whatever your teen enjoys, wherever you as a parent feel safe, encourage it, allow them to be a part of the community. The more they're a part of the community, the more they're going to grow and thrive. And of course, you need to monitor that community. You need to understand which community your child needs to be a part of and which will have a positive impact on them and which will have a negative impact on them. But those social connections is what is going to help them grow. Social media. The minute we take away a child from social media, they get sneaky. They will hide and do it. And I know multiple children who do it. Anything that you're going to tell your child not to do and are going to be strict about it, they're going to do it. So, social media can be monitored. There can be parental controls around it. Instagram has done it. Use those parental controls. Enhance those peer connections. They can also lead to learning opportunities. Our generation today is in the know. They know more about social media than you and I put together, and social media is not all bad. So monitoring it, keeping it under check is one way of ensuring that your child is using social media correctly. But it can also have a negative impact. And that's where you need to be the stronger parents. So your child, when impacted by social media because of self-esteem, can come back to you and know that my parent is here to support me whenever I question my own self-esteem or body image. So you have to keep those channels open so they can come and talk to you, even though there is an impact outside through peer groups, community involvement, social media, and all of the above. But you are a stronger parent and you've kept those channels open and they come back and talk to you. See how well we're doing on time. Excellent. This is again from the Pew Research Center. And I like to bring these statistics up because to identify what is it that is going to have a positive impact on your child and what is it that's going to have a negative impact on your child. Connecting with friends and family is extremely important. These are all survey-based. You have to connect them with like-minded people. You have to allow them to talk, allow them to express themselves. Now, that can be a challenge. I hear a lot of parents say that my child answers them back. Your child answers you back because you allow it. Self-expression is a must for every human being. Think about it. if you are allowed to voice your opinion when you were a child, when you grow up, you will be able to speak in public and be able to express yourself. But there's got to be a boundary around it. Don't raise your voice. Let's talk in inside voice. Let's be respectful. I'm here to hear you. I am here to talk to you. We have to come to a happy medium. If you have a viewpoint, I have a viewpoint too. I'm ready to listen to your viewpoint. You have to be ready to listen to mine. These are the times that you use the self-emotional regulation techniques to be able to have a conversation with your child. But do not, humble request, do not kill your child's self-expression, because if you don't allow your child to talk at home, you're ensuring that when they go out into public space, they completely lose their voice, because you are their safe space. If they can't express their opinion to you, they're going to be very scared to express it to the outside world. So self-expression, extremely important. Encourage them from learning new things. What has a more negative effect is bullying. They have plenty of that in school. Lack of social connections. If they're closed in a room and they're not speaking to anybody and they're completely on their own, that has a very deep impact. Unrealistic views of others' lives, social media, peer pressure. If they have mental health issues, these are all the things that have a negative impact on their mental health. And these are the research numbers that have been provided by the Pew Research Center. So you can go up, when I send you the slides, when you get the slides, you can probably take a little detailed look at it. Let's talk about emotional development. How can we manage that? So teen angst that we talked about is real and absolutely unintentional. Mostly. I'm not going to say absolutely. Actually, I take that back. There is a little bit of manipulation there. And there will always be manipulation because they're in survival mechanism. They're using survival technique. They don't know how to manage their emotions. So when they don't know what to do with themselves, they become a little bit manipulative because they're trying to survive their own emotions. So allow space for their complex emotions. The one thing that I'd like you to take away from this presentation is you have a parent's gut. Your gut cannot be wrong. You are a parent. There is nothing that you don't know about your child. So allowing that space to help them express those emotions while you sit and emotionally regulate yourself, and then creating that space to be able to have a conversation, understand when your child is manipulating you versus when they're actually having an emotion and hearing them out, is challenging, but will support them in emotional development. Model positive behavior. If you're going to eat junk at night, they're going to eat junk at night because you are their role model. If you're not going to be focused on sleep or self-care, they're not going to be focused on sleep and self-care because you are their only support system. You're the only person in the world that they trust. You're the only person that they look up to. So what you do is what they're going to do. So model positive coping skills and emotional regulation. Allow room for failure. Failure is what gets you to better places. And I have a lot of parents coming to me and telling me, my child's grades are bad. My child doesn't want to study. I totally hear them. And I'm absolutely with you. But the minute you stop associating your child with grades, you will see the kind of grades that they'll get. What does that mean? Give them the space to express. Why is it that they don't like math? What is it that's helping them get 20 instead of 90 or 100? Have that conversation. Do they need extra support? Do they need a tutor? Are they unable to manage their own time? Are they procrastinating? Are they scared of getting bad grades? Are they looking at it from your point of view and they're so focused on pleasing you that they're unable to study? Do they have peer pressure? What is it? Once we identify the why and we give them room for failure, we're ensuring that we keep them focused on those grades. Because if they don't fail, they don't learn. How am I going to get better if I don't know what it is to fail? How am I going to get 90 if I don't know what it is to get 20? But unless and until I identify the why behind it, I will not be able to do that. Failure is very, very important. Failure takes you to better places. Just something to think about. You're not what you were yesterday, you're not what you are today, and you're not what you will be tomorrow. And that's exactly where your child is. Allow room for them to grow themselves. We often overparent. And I'm a parent. I totally understand your emotions. I know where you're coming from. But just to keep that in mind. So today we've talked about complex, multifactorial, individual, stressful moments as parents. We've learned about puberty. We've talked about how we need to focus on ourselves to change that, to help our teens emotionally regulate. This is me. We're going to be having a series of other webinars, and I think Lisa would be able to tell you about that more. I'm an author. On the left, we are launching our group coaching, which is upcoming group coaching for moms or a parent, which will give you the space to ask the right questions. How you can emotionally regulate yourself. How is it that you can help your teen? So go ahead, scan the QR code on the left. If you would like to be kept in the know, just enter your email addresses, and whenever we are ready to launch, we will reach out to you and we will give you that option for an early bird. So that's for our group coaching. My Parenting Journey, which is a book that's on Amazon. Please use that. I have a TEDx talk, which is how to move from control to connection. I urge every parent to listen to that. And then on my right-hand side, there is, maybe that's on your left. So sorry, just read below. Maybe my right and left is a little bit messed up this morning. There is a QR code for scheduling a consultation. If you think that I haven't answered your questions or you need to learn more, please schedule a free consultation with me. It's a 30-minute slot. Please pick that, and I would be more than happy to serve you. My website is mentioned in the bottom. It's unnatijain.com. If you look at the slides, and I'll send those to you. I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and my handle is at dr.unnatijain. So you're welcome to follow me on Instagram. I post a video every single day. I have a team of 3 Gen Z kids who work with me. They support me, so they give me real-time issues with Gen Z's face, with teenagers' face, with young adults' face, and I normally talk about all of those issues on social media. So if you're on Instagram, and they're all standard, so they're the same video across all of those. So if you're a parent who is on Facebook, please use that platform. Instagram, use that. TikTok, use that. And I strongly, strongly, strongly advise that you sign up for that group coaching, even though you're not interested in joining the group, but at least exploring on how I can support you as a mother, as a parent, to take that self-exploration journey so that you can show up for your parents would be extremely important. With that, let's open the floor for questions. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time in the past 45 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Jain. So the upcoming webinars will be November 15th, Building Resilience, helping teens develop coping skills and emotional intelligence. February 21st, Supporting the Mental Health, Recognizing and Addressing Anxiety and Depression in Teens. And then April 25th, The Role of Boundaries in Teen Development. So those are coming up. So I am encouraging you to please put your questions in the Q&A, and then we can ask them. Give everybody just a minute. Put them in the Q&A. All right, we have one question. How to negotiate with my teenager without going beyond what is really right for them? So I guess the negotiation.
So negotiations is a natural process. Emotionally regulate yourself, come to a happy medium. Once you have reached a negotiation point and you know that you don't want to move beyond that, create that as a boundary, which means that you are the one responsible for stopping that conversation right there, very compassionately. So let's role play this. Your child wants to come home at 11 o'clock. You want the child to come home at 10 o'clock. You negotiate and you come to a happy medium at 10:30. The child says, no, I still want 10:45, whereas you want 10:30. And you turn around and say, I hear you. And I totally understand that you want to be with your friends, but I'm sorry, 10:30 is the last that I will agree to. You need to be home by 10:30. The child will ask you 4 to 5 times. You have to repeat the same sentence with calmness, with emotional regulation, until your child knows there's no room for negotiation. Hope that helps.
Okay, thank you. The next question. In studies that compared teens since the 1960s to 2019, the current time, they discovered that current senior students do not date, drive, get a summer job, or have a job after school, or do not drink alcohol. What do you think why do you think these changes are occurring? And is this a positive or negative thing? Is this concerning?
I think it's a very generalized study, and I don't know where you've identified the study because it's far from true. And changes are happening. They're becoming more cognizant, yes. But there are other things that are happening which are very counterintuitive, which are taking these children away from themselves. So while it's positive that they're not drinking and driving, it's also known that they're taking more drugs and the anxiety levels are higher. So there is a positive and a negative component to it. That's what I would like to say. Are we getting better? Yes, we are getting better, but defining better is very hard. It's just different. It's a different age today, and they're doing different things. I don't know if I answered that question, but I tried. I hope that helped.
Okay, so we'll give another minute or two for you to put your questions in the chat, excuse me, in the Q&A. You can see in the chat, we put an evaluation to our webinar. So if you could evaluate our webinar, and we'll just wait another minute or two to see if there are any more questions. How does supporting, here's a question, how does supporting a learning difference teenager, ADHD, ASD, different from supporting a typical teenager?
A learning difference individual has a higher capacity and more superpower. It's just that they're different. Identifying what is their superpower, if they have ADHD or ASD or ADD, identifying that and then focusing on that particular superpower while letting go of all of the other things can really, really impact that child, because the child is brighter than the other children. He or she is just different, and his part of the brain or her part of the brain focuses on one particular thing which they call their superpower. So just focus on that, but identifying that is very important.
Okay, here's another question. As hard as it is, excuse me, to help and support our teenage children as they go through adolescence, including setting and enforcing boundaries, what is your best advice when the parents themselves can't reach an agreement over how to do this? In other words, when the parents are at odds over the best approach to do so.
I totally hear you. And that's a very hard one. That's a very, very hard one. And I think an external party is required in a case like this. And this is, it's very close to my heart because I'm a single mother, and I totally understand where you're coming from. Luckily, I was in a different place, in a much better place. But I totally understand when two parents are living under the same roof and they have completely different opinions and about raising the child, it can be super hard. In that case, I always suggest that you get an outside party, um, so you can create a middle ground. Because otherwise, what happens is you're totally confusing the child. The child does not know which way to go, and often the child struggles with very low self-esteem when you can't come to a happy medium. So get an outside perspective, or an outside supporter, or somebody who can be a middleman, or somebody who's completely unbiased and a professional to support the child and get both the viewpoints and come to a happy medium. That would be my suggestion.
Can you recommend a book for parents that cover these topics that you just covered today?
My book, A Parenting Journey, it covers all of these topics today that I've covered today, including it begins with my journey. It's available on Amazon. It's called A Parent Teen Journey, and I have another one coming out, which is called Everything Begins with You. And if you join the group coaching, then you will be able to learn a lot more on all of the things that I spoke about today.
All right, no more. Oh, one last question just snuck in. Is it normal teen behavior when you encourage your kids about they themselves or how they performed on a task that helps, but the next day they're back to being negative?
Absolutely. It's a very, very normal thing. That's why I think I use this in cognitive behavior is you need to reiterate every single day on how good your child is, how you believe in them, because think about it as an adult. How many times do you doubt yourself as an adult? And multiply that 100 times. And that's how much your child doubts themselves. How much of reiteration that you need. How many times do you want somebody to tell you that you're good enough, you're enough, or you look good, or you're brilliant, so that your self-esteem goes up, and you multiply that 100 times. So they will come back to negative thinking. They need constant reiteration. They need to be constantly told how good they are. They don't have the ability to manage their mind on their own. You have to do it for them.
And then what age does it start to stick? The positive talk.
So it depends on the positive talk. By 16, you'll start seeing a little bit of changes, a little bit of positive behavior. 16, 17, it gets better. 18, it gets even better. But a young adult's brain completely develops at 25. But if you lay a solid foundation, then you should start seeing big changes by 17. And then it's only up from there.
All right, Dr. Jane, thank you very much for this informative webinar, and we hope everybody has a great day. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate your time. Lisa, can we just stick on for 2 minutes, please?